Hi, happy December 3rd. This is my final video for my Pathway project for the leadership portion of our final project. I am Nancy Wilson. This is Rachel, our music teacher. This is Hillary, my paraprofessional.
Hi.
And we are going to go over the Prezi that I did over my survey results. So, here we go. Okay, so guys, if you have any questions, can you see that, Hillary?
Yes, I can
Okay,
see.
if you have any questions, just stop me. So the entire thing is for the leadership project that I'm doing, for the surveys the initial surveys that came out, the hard copy surveys about the school climate,
Okay.
and especially as it focuses on autism. So, leadership project. All right, so our initial survey results, and forgive me, I know that you guys can read, so I will try to sum up so I don't read everything for you. But I did hand out 24 surveys. I got 12 back. There were 32 questions that covered teacher practices, school climate, school and community partnerships. And then everyone had to rate the ideal and the actual. And then I looked at the top 5 questions. There were some parameters from my professor as to which sections to look at. So these are the results from that. So the numbers down here are the questions. These were the ones with the largest discrepancy between ideal and actual. And these didn't have as much discrepancy, but these were from 2 portions that were required. So I chose the questions that I seemed to be most relevant to our campus. So far so good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so there were measurable goals. So we're not just doing a survey for no reason. The 5 listed goals can easily be used with all of the students in our school. And Rachel, does that sound right since
Yeah.
you have all of our students?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so as our music teacher, Rachel sees all of the students within a 2-week period.
2-day.
2-day period. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's even more than I thought. 2-day period. She sees approximately 350 students. So that's one of the reasons I've asked her in to sit in on this. So we're going to look at what is effective or not and whether the goal is being met or not. So we looked at social validity. So the questions, these are the first 3 questions. The brighter white are the questions that we looked at. So teachers collaboratively assess and reflect on implementing more effective teaching practices. Classroom practices help students with autism engage in learning strategies such as reflection and goal setting. Teachers respond effectively to student diversity and make learning motivating and relevant to all students. And then the last 2, people in our school make an extra effort to build personal relationships with students and their parents, and teachers collaborate with parents to help students with autism succeed. So, and as we've mentioned, this can be extended to all of our students, because I think we probably have some students on the spectrum who have not been diagnosed at this point.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so I did a second survey. It came out on SurveyMonkey. Because of the cost of the website, I had to split it because 10 questions, more than 10 questions, you have to pay quite a bit of money, which I do not have to. So I did it in 2 surveys, which was not ideal. I emailed 24 people, the same 24 people. I received 5 surveys back on the first part and 7 surveys back on the second part. So very small sample size, but I did graph and collate what we had. I actually think it's a pretty good representation of how the entire staff feels, but we'll talk about that. So I had, for each of the 5 topics, I had 3 questions. How important is this statement? And those are the statements that it corresponds with. How well do you, as a teacher, accomplish the following? And those are the 5 questions that goes with. And what would help or better encourage you to do what the question? So those were the 3 headings for the topic, for each of the 5 topics, sorry. Okay. So, like I said, very small sampling size. Questions on the second survey, questions 1, 4, 7, 10, and 13 show that teachers feel that each of those 5 topics are important. Questions 2, 5, 8, 11, and 14 show that most of those teachers feel that they're accomplishing that goal. And then 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15 are blank because I gave everyone an option, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that's why there were no results on this particular graph. So what we looked at, I asked teachers, what do you think would help you the most? Professional development, time with your grade level teachers, or time with same subject teachers? So professional development, 2 or 3 people requested that. Most people across the board of, the 7 or 8 people asked for time with grade level and same topic teachers. And this is something we've been struggling with as a campus for a number of years. We never feel like we're given enough time to work with our coworkers. We do have planning periods, but so many other things have to be addressed. What do you guys think about that?
I agree. I think the fine arts team could also benefit with time to meet as a team and collaborate together and do more things, as collaborative projects. And I think that if we had more time together, we would be able to really mainstream and make our arts cross-curricular.
Yeah, I think it would make us a stronger community,
Right,
and not only benefit us, would benefit the kids.
right. And it seems like, Rachel, the schedule that you have, I know you have the block in the middle of the day, but that's your lunch time, that's your break time.
That's my Go Be Tammy time.
Oh yeah,
Every
and Tammy is our
Wednesday.
secretary, so Rachel takes over for her so she can have a lunch.
And every Wednesday we have a fine arts meeting with Mr. Morrow.
A principal meeting.
Where that's more geared towards what do you need from me, what do I need from you, instead of collaborative among the team.
Right.
We have to, on top of that, make time to meet together, which is really hard because each of us has a different day of the week that we're Tammy.
That's right. So that cuts out 5 days, right? That cuts into the whole week.
11 to 11. 11:30 to 12 every day is out, and then 10:35 to 11:30 is out every Wednesday because we're talking to Mr. Morrow. And then you've got parent conferences, and with 350 students, they're pretty regular. Like parents have questions, or you're like right now we're costume checking and trying to get everything ready for our shows, and taking time on our lunch to go to the church and look at the venue, and it's just a lot.
It's a lot. So
it would be extremely beneficial, I think, to have time with my fellow teachers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Hillary and I, as the special ed teachers, we are supposed to schedule in a break, but it rarely happens.
Yeah, we're lucky if we get that, just because we're trying to accommodate everyone's
Right.
schedule and meet our
And
minutes.
for example, the reason I do not have Hillary and Rachel on camera right now is that they are eating their lunches, and they agreed to do this as long as I wasn't videoing them chewing their
I
food.
had to hide in the sped office to eat my lunch.
Yes, yes. So, the regular struggles that all the teachers face, and that for some reason administration seems to forget the second they get into admin.
Yeah.
So I do not have any power, unfortunately, over when we meet or how we meet. But for the few people who thought professional development would help, I looked at Region 11, which is our local training center. A lot of times we can get trainings for free because we are part of that region. Sometimes there's a cost. We cannot always get our principal to pay for it. But what I did is for each of the 5 questions, I looked up trainings that would go along with it. So even if everyone couldn't attend these, sometimes we send 1 or 2 people and have them present to the whole staff to try to kind of extend the money that we've spent. So I won't read through all of these trainings because they're on the Prezi. But here they are. For number 4, there weren't a lot available, but they do change every couple of months. And there's that one. And then as to other ways we can affect change, I did for number 1, time with our teachers. Number 2, Region 11. Idea number 3, we've tried a book study in the past, but the book wasn't very good, so nobody really wanted to do it. But maybe if we found a good book, or even if we did, 4 or 5 different books and everyone just chooses a book, that might be an idea. And then idea number 4 are articles, studies, and websites for the people who are really interested.
I like the book idea because I think if you have 5 or 6 books that people choose from, and you have a few people choose each book, then you've got a small group unit that can meet maybe on a more regular basis because it's such a small group. And it also puts them in a category that has a shared interest because they chose that book.
Right.
And so they may be more likely to complete the study because it's something they wanted to read.
Right.
Instead of being assigned to read it.
That's right. Because as we all know, teachers have a very difficult time taking direction. And if we're being
And
told
being quiet in
and being quiet,
presentations.
yes. And if we're told to do something, that's when we're going to go, well, I'm not doing that. And we do everything we can to get out of it. So, we're just like the kids. Maybe that's why we're with the kids, is because we understand the kids.
Yeah, totally.
So, my proposal, which I cannot complete before the end of this class, but my proposal is to share that information with the rest of the staff, and then in the spring do the hard copy survey again and see if there's been any change.
Yeah.
And hopefully there will be less discrepancy between the ideal and the actual, and that would show that maybe we're on the right track.
We're making progress.
Yes, but again, I would have to get a lot of permissions from the principal, because if I go into a staff meeting and say, guess what we're doing, everyone's going to laugh at me because they're going to be like, you can't make me. So that goes back to what we just said. So that is the end of my Prezi. Any other comments, my friends?
No, I love it.
Yay!
It was really good.
Thank you for participating. All right,
I
thank
think,
you.
Yeah, a lot of work went into that.
Yeah.
Yay.